So I need to ask for grace before we get into the embodied grace of this yoga, because it's been a minute since I have taught an asana class. And I'm really excited to share this with you all, but I'm also nervous and a little stiff. So this is the perfect opportunity, because today we're going to be learning all about a few different ways that you can do sun salutations, or Surya Namaskar A. Particularly, you'll find that sun salutations can be included a lot in yoga classes that you may see in studios, or that are just, strictly physical posture classes. A lot of its root parts have become what is called the vinyasa flow. So when you're in a vinyasa style class and you hear the instructor say, now vinyasa, they are essentially meaning a sun salutation A. So I'm going to show you 5 different ways that you can achieve a Surya Namaskar A that benefits you wherever you're finding yourself in your physical practice at that moment. But before I do that, I want to let you know this is Embodied Grace Yoga. My name is Tarani. I am really excited to be here for you. I don't know if I had mentioned this in some previous videos, because this is still a very new channel, but I have been teaching for a little over a decade now, or just about a decade now, and I have accumulated over 700 hours of training in yoga, and am extremely excited to be taking this type of path with you all, because I was teaching in studios before and I realized it wasn't really serving me. So I am extremely excited to be here in my home sharing this with you in a much more intimate way, where I can really teach you more about the practice than just the physical postures in a 60-minute setting. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the first variation I'm going to show you is one that you can use when you just know that either you don't have the energy to be doing all of that, or your body is just like, all of this up and down, doing too much on the joints. I can't quite do what I would like to do. It doesn't feel good in my body. This is an extremely great place to start when you're starting to learn these types of movements, getting into connecting breath with the body movements. Because essentially that is what vinyasa is/means. Vinyasa is the ability to connect your breath with your movement. In a lot of modern yoga, what that means is your inhale is one movement, your exhale is another movement. And that is essentially what you will find in your sun salutations. Let's start with variation 1. You're going to stand at the top of your mat and find a good footing for you. So if you have wider hips, I tend to like to keep the feet a little bit wider apart, just to give the hips some space to breathe, gives your lower back some space to breathe as well. So feet about hip width distance apart is really nice. And I don't necessarily mean the widest part of your hips, maybe the top of the hips, so that as you point straight down, you're looking right at the toes. Toes are pointed towards the top of your mat. Sides of your feet are as parallel to the sides of your mat as you can try. Doesn't make a big deal if you do, but it's a nice little sensation, or gives you awareness of your feet, your legs, and how they all work together to keep you standing. Then engage the toes, press them into the mat a little bit, feel them grip the surface that you're standing on. Let your awareness travel up towards your hips. If you notice that your ducktail is sticking out a little bit, tuck it in a little bit, tuck it in, and you'll start to feel some engagement right here in the low belly space. This is where the Uddiyana Bandha sits. It's the energy lock that sits right here in this lat belt space. So holding some energy here, keeping you upright, staying here and firm. You can also activate the Mula Bandha, which is the root lock, which is essentially squeezing the pelvic floor up and in. We'll get into the bandhas a little bit later, but in case you want to give them a little try right now, a little sneak peek. Then travel up from that Uddiyana Bandha up into your upper cavity, chest, shoulders, arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other, towards the spine. Let your arms rest down by the sides. And let your shoulder blades also relax down the spine. So you may notice your shoulders are finding their way up towards your ears. Let them soften. And then let your awareness come back up into the neck and into the head. Give your chin a little bit lift and a little bit of a push back. So almost as if you're pressing the back of your head against an imaginary wall. Stand here in your firmness, in your Tadasana. This is lovingly called mountain pose on occasion. You'll find that mountain pose can be interpreted in many different ways. So Tadasana can be this, Tadasana can be this as well. And we'll go over both iterations of it here in just a moment. So no matter what variation you're doing, this is where you want to start, in a strong stance right at the top of your mat. If you would like to have blocks available for any of these postures to come, you are welcome to have 2 right at the top of your mat, ready for you to access them. So for variation 1, we're going to take it really slow, really low. So starting with a deep inhale from your nose, stretch your arms up to the ceiling. You can even look up towards your fingertips. This is another variation of Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, start to bend at your hips. Take your arms down with you as you soften into your knees a ton. Your hands can meet the blocks, making the ground come up to you, or your hands can meet the floor. For Uttanasana, forward fold, but with a really deep bend in your knees to help give a little love to your hamstrings. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins, push the backs of your knees towards the back of the room, and lift your torso up parallel to the floor for halfway lift or Ardha Uttanasana. Then exhale, bend your knees a lot. Take your hands either to the floor or to your blocks and come down to tabletop. Inhale, pull your belly button down toward the floor, lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling, lift your chin and let your chest cavity push down toward the floor or also push forward for cow pose. Then exhale, push your hips back towards your heels, sitting them down toward the floor. You can keep your arms outstretched. They can stay on the blocks or they can come down to the ground, coming into child's pose. If you prefer to slide the blocks underneath the body to fill some space or let your forehead rest, you are welcome to adjust the blocks however you need, but you will stay in this child's pose for 5 full breaths. A full breath being 1 inhale and 1 exhale. This is 4, inhale, exhale. Now on that 5th inhale, start to come up to a tabletop position, moving your blocks either back under the hands or just where you need them to be. Exhale, push down into your hands to lift your knees, push the hips up high into downward facing dog. Inhale, look towards the hands. Start walking your feet forward as you're still inhaling. Place the hands to the shins, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Same forward fold that we started with. Deep bend in the knees, hands to the blocks or hands to the floor. Push down through your feet. Inhale, roll your way up to stand tall. Take your time. Don't want blood rushing up to the head too fast. Stretch the arms high for that Tadasana. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart center at Samastitihi. Now that is variation 1 in super slow motion. Let's try to connect it with the breath in a more typical scenario. Finding your breath pattern, your breath pace, and moving with it, but also knowing that you can adjust your breath pace so that way you can move in a pace that feels good for you and your body, and where your breath can still keep up with you. So let's try to take it real smooth, real chill, real even. Find your footing, coming into that strong Tadasana. Come into your breath, start to notice your pace. You can follow along with my pace. If you prefer to follow along with your own, absolutely go for it. I'll be calling out all of the different cues for you to follow. Inhale, stretch the arms high into Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Bend the knees a ton. Inhale, hands to your shins, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, come down to your hands and knees for tabletop position. Inhale, cow pose, sink the belly button low, lift the tailbone and chin high. Exhale, round the spine, sit the hips back towards your heels, come into a variation of child's pose that is supportive to you for 4 full breaths. Fourth inhale, fourth exhale. Fifth inhale, come back to your hands and knees. Exhale to downward facing dog, pushing through the hands, lifting the hips high. Inhale, walk your feet forward, landing into your halfway lift, all on an inhale. Exhale, forward fold, deep bend in the knees. Inhale, root through the feet to rise up into Tadasana. Stretch the arms high, let the head and hands be up last. Exhale, hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. So how did that feel? What did you think? I tend to use this a lot when I'm first getting started in my yoga practice. When I'm strictly focusing on asana that day, I start with this. Keep it chill, keep it really slow, because sometimes my body is just like, girl, we're not doing that today. And that is completely fine. Listen to what your body is calling for and provide. All right, so variation 2 is essentially kicking it up a notch, if you want to call it that, but it's also just swapping out a couple postures for something else. So in variation 1, you'll notice that we sat in child's pose for about 5 breaths. But in variation 2, we're going to swap out child's pose for downward facing dog. And we'll stay there at that point for 5 full breaths. But all the other postures will be the same. So as you come back up to the top of your mat, set your feet, get into your strong Tadasana mountain pose. Relax the shoulders, lift the chin, push the head back a tiny little bit. Engage that energy lock right at the Uddiyana Bandha. Find your breath pace, but we're going to take it real slow, just a reintroduction to those postures again. So inhale, arms up high for Tadasana. Exhale, hinge at the hips, reach down, bend the knees a ton, bring the ground up to you with blocks or take your hands to the floor. Inhale, hands to your shins, long legs, long spine, halfway lift. Exhale to the hands and knees. Inhale, cow pose, pull the belly button down, lift the tailbone, lift the chin. Downward facing dog, exhale, push through the hands, lift the hips, let your heels melt toward the floor, but keep a little bend in the knees if you're noticing your hamstrings have something to say, because they might have something to say. If you're using blocks in your downward facing dog, sometimes it's nice to have the heel of your hand just at the edge of the block and your fingers spread wide and almost having your pinky and your thumb grabbing the edges. If your hands are on the ground, still keep your hands spread wide and press into the fingertips more so than the heel of your hand to help out your arms. Draw up energy through your belly button and let the head dangle down. So I've been talking a lot. This has probably been 5 breaths. So what you will do on that very last 5th breath, your inhale will bring your gaze towards the top of your mat. Your exhale will bend your knees even more, turning it into a bit of a crouch to help you inhale, walk your way forward right into your halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees a lot. Inhale, root through your feet, roll to stand tall, stretch the arms up, look up towards the thumbs. Exhale, hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. So essentially same thing that we did in variation 1, just changing up a posture and making it a little bit more dynamic. So child's pose allowed us to kind of rest and relax into that breath. But downward facing dog allows you to use your body a little bit more in a powerful way, through the arms, through the hands, through the legs, through the abdomen, all of those places being engaged to help you stay in that inverted V shape while you're still breathing at the same time. So let's give it a shot. Full out with your breath, finding your own pace. You can follow along with my pace if you like, but if you'd like to go your own way. There we go. All right. Fleetwood Mac. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Settle in, find your breath. Use your inhale to stretch the arms to Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold with a deep bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to your hands and knees. Inhale, cow pose, belly button towards the floor, tailbone towards the sky. Exhale, lengthen the spine, lift the hips, push through the hands, down dog, and stay here for inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. Exhale. 2. Inhale. Exhale. 3. Inhale. Exhale. 4. Inhale, look towards the hands. Exhale, bend your knees even more, crouching down. Inhale, walk your way forward or take just one step right into a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Inhale, root through your feet, roll your way to stand tall in Tadasana, reaching high. Exhale, Samastitihi, hands at the heart center. Nice, very good. So that's 2 variations down. We still have 3 more to go. So let's jump right into the third one. So at this point, we're going to get a little bit more dynamic with it. You're going to feel your body engaging a lot more. There's going to be a lot more concentration of the breath and connecting with the movements of your body because the body's going to be doing a lot more work. So we're swapping out the hands and knees portion and the cow pose into a plank, whether your knees are above the ground or on the ground and lowering down to the belly. Instead of cow pose, we'll do a cobra pose or a nice strong back bend, and then we'll exhale into child's pose. So let's just show you how it goes real quick. Come on over to where you were standing before. Doesn't have to be a mat, could be a towel, could be a blanket, could just be the bare floor. I recommend you have something underneath your joints, especially if you know you got some sticky joints. I do. It's okay. All right. Always starting with that firm foundation in Tadasana. Inhale, stretch the arms high. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Keep as much of a bend in your knees as you like as you start to warm up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees a lot, plant your hands, step all the way back into a high plank. You can keep your knees high or tap them down to the floor. But as you bend your elbows, push the elbows towards the back of the room, squeeze them in towards your ribs, and slowly lower to the belly, all in an exhale. Let's move these out of the way for a second. Inhale, push through the tops of your feet and your hands. Peel your chin and chest and belly button up away from the floor into cobra pose. Exhale, push through the hands. You can lower down a little bit so you can lift from the belly button. Send your hips back into child's pose to breathe. 5 full breaths here. Inhale and exhale, counting as 1 full breath. If you notice any of these postures are making you want to fill some space with blocks or a bolster, you're always welcome to bring them in. Sometimes if you're wanting to get even more of a sensation of a stretch through the underarms, you can bring blocks under your hands and let your forehead reach toward the floor. But again, I have been yammering. Yeah, that's the word I want to say. I've been yammering. I think that's about 5 breaths. So since we're in child's pose, we're going to use the inhale of the 5th breath to come to tabletop. The exhale of the 5th breath to come to downward facing dog. Adjust your feet however you need. Inhale, walk your way forward into your halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, bending your knees as much as you like, letting your chin tuck in. Inhale, root through the feet, roll your way up to stand, stretch the arms high. Exhale, hands at heart center for Salutation A. Nice, very cool. All right, so as you can see, that one had a little bit more of a muscle demand to it, but we still added in some restful things. So you can always swap these things out if it feels good for you so that you can make an accommodation for your best practice. All right, let's give variation 3 a try, full out. But again, find your own pace. So coming to stand wherever it is that you need to stand, making sure you have plenty of space behind you since we're going to be stretching out a little bit more. Root down through the feet, relax the shoulders, lift the chin, energy right from the center. Find your breath. Take the inhale to stretch the arms high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the ground, step all the way back, high plank, lower all the way down to your belly. Take it slow, elbows in, tops of the feet to the floor. Inhale, peel up into your cobra pose. Exhale, push the hips back, child's pose. 5 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. That's 1. Inhale. Exhale. That's 2. Inhale. Exhale. 3. Inhale. That's 4. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale to down dog. Inhale, walk forward right into halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root through the feet, roll to rise, reach the arms high, Tadasana. Exhale, Salutation A, thumbs right at your heart center. Nice work. Nice. We're almost there. You're doing a fabulous job, and I'm very, very proud of you. So variation 4 is more of what you would see or hear cued in a yoga class without as many modifications. If you were to Google Sun Salutation or Surya Namaskar A, variation 4 is what you may see. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Keep in mind, your body's going to be engaged a lot more, so be sure to support yourself by making sure you are aware of what's going on with all those muscles and keep them engaged. So starting out with that strong foundation, awareness coming into the legs, into the abdomen, into the upper cavity, into the shoulders, arms rested, and neck long. Your inhale will come right into Tadasana. Your exhale will take you down into a forward fold, Uttanasana, just like we have been. Inhale is a halfway lift, and as a tip, you can bring your hands to your shins. If you prefer to keep your fingertips or your hands toward the ground, you can absolutely do that. The action is to lift just halfway out of your forward fold. Exhale, take your hands to the floor, step back into your high plank. Now this can be done whether your knees are high or your knees are low. for Chaturanga Dandasana. This is a posture that I absolutely love, but I often don't give it enough respect as I should. So we're going to do that today. Chaturanga Dandasana is four-limbed staff pose. Now, if you're sitting here like Tierney, you're talking and I'm standing here like this, you can rest. I absolutely acknowledge you to rest. But four-limbed staff pose is a posture in and of itself. So it's not just the movement of lowering down, but it makes you pause, boom, right here. So even if you're doing that on your knees, you're pausing here at the very bottom of your exhale. Then your inhale pushes you up either into cobra pose or lifting your thighs away from the floor into upward facing dog. So I do apologize for jumping into that little workshop moment there, but I had to because that's just what needed to be done. So let's start over again. Let's come back up towards the top of the mat. Get settled into your Tadasana. Relax the shoulders, lengthen the spine. Inhale to stretch the arms high, taking it slow. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find your halfway lift, whether it's fingertips to the floor or hands to the shins. Exhale, step back into your high plank, right down into your Chaturanga. Pause, boom. Inhale, push into your back bend of choice, cobra or up dog. Exhale, lift the hips into downward facing dog, where we'll hold it here for 5 breaths. And same things here. Let your heels relax toward the floor. If your hamstrings are still talking a bunch, soften your knees. If your wrists your wrists are talking to you too much, push into your fingertips. Let your chest push towards your knees. Good. I will admit, I've lost count again. So on an inhale, look towards your hands. Exhale, bend your knees. This should be your 5th breath. Inhale, walk, step, or jump your way forward right into the halfway lift. All of that happens on your inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root through your feet, roll to stand tall. Stretch the arms up into the Tadasana. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Oh my gosh, I am so proud. This is amazing. I absolutely love you all. This is one of my favorite sequences to do in practice. This is honestly what I do the most when I am wanting to have a more dynamic physical practice. So when I am in asana mode and I'm like, I've got some energy to burn, let's do some sun salutations. This is what I will do. Any one of these variations, I will jump right in and just repeat it over and over and over again. Now, sometimes you may see some spaces hold special events where you will do 108 sun salutations. Typically, this happens around the time of, I think it's International Yoga Day that a lot of studio spaces will do this. There's other celebrations that may have studios host this type of event. So this is what you will end up seeing, 108 of any one of those that you like. And it's always welcome for you to modify however you need to. So I'm really excited to have been able to show you guys these variations. Now, if you recall, I did say there were 5 because I'm extra. And I know there's others out there that are extra like me. So if you are a little on the extra side, variation 5 is for you. Play around with this however you want to and do whatever you need to do. I won't even do some of the things that I'm about to cue in this last variation. So feel free to take liberty or creative freedom to add the things that you want to and make it fun. So starting out at the top of your mat once again, settling into the feet, right into your Tadasana. Inhale, stretch the arms up high. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come into a crow pose, Bakasana. So settle into the hands, lean forward, let your toes float away. This is all on an inhale. Exhale, you can come down or shoot your legs back right into your Chaturanga. Inhale, For your back bend of choice, cobra or up dog. Exhale for downward facing dog. You'll breathe, breathe, breathe for 5 full breaths. If you are someone that likes to stand on your hands and have been practicing that action, you are welcome on that 5th breath. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, jump forward. And that wasn't very pretty because I haven't been practicing that for a while. But if that's something you're practicing, try a tuck jump towards the top of your mat. Right into a halfway lift. Full inhale through that whole thing. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root through your feet, roll to stand, stretch the arms high. And exhale, Tadasana. So it's just a nice little way to add a little bit of funk to your practice if you want to, but it's totally up to you. But that is the 5 variations that I had for you. I really hope that you enjoyed these, and I really encourage you to keep practicing these, repeat them as often as you like so that your body starts to get used to them, because you might see them a lot wherever you decide to get your yoga. I hope that you come back here to continue getting your yoga with me, but I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your time. Please be sure to drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.